The bitter cold in Greater West Bloomfield is brutal for you and I, and it's equally challenging for our non-human friends and neighbors as well. Wildlife, one of the greatest attractions to our community, is heavily affected by Mother Nature's fickle weather wonders just as much as we are. Here with more information is the West Bloomfield Parks Naturalist Supervisor, Lauren Azoury. Lauren, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on to talk about this because so much of the conversation recently with the fluctuations in weather and especially those cold temperatures like we may be feeling today and certainly have felt so far in January, they don't just affect us, they affect our wildlife, those animals that are outside in our community each and every day. A little bit different than us, but what are some of the ways that they're affected when the weather goes from seasonally cold to absolutely frigid?
It really depends on the species because all of them handle and take care of winter in different ways and have special adaptations. So I do want to start with making sure that it's clear that animals do have really great adaptations for this extreme weather, but maybe not this extreme weather. So a few animals that might start to struggle, for instance, are our Virginia opossums. I know that they're not everyone's favorite animal, but we really all should love them because they take care of a lot of our tick population. But the Virginia opossums are really susceptible to frostbite when these wind chills get so high because they have bare skins. So their tails are unique with not much fur cover, their paws, and then and their nose as well. So that's one species that you would think would be just fine, but actually when it gets a little bit extreme is a little bit more affected. Some of our frogs and things like that are deep down under the water and are bruminating, which is the amphibian version of hibernation, do okay. It's when what happens is when it got hot, 52 degrees, if we could all think back just a few weeks ago when all the snow melted before it all came back again, that's when species like that start to struggle. So it really just depends on the species and the conditions. It varies for all different wildlife.
What are some of the ways that their behavior may change when they are negatively affected, either by, as you said, that really unusual frigid cold that we sometimes get in winter and seems more often this one than ever before, or in those other cases, the other swinging of the pendulum toward unseasonably warm weather? Does their behavior change in ways that we may notice?
Yes. So they conserve energy. They're just very, very conscious of conserving their energy. Food is scarce. They don't want to leave the safety of their den or the snow mound that they might be keeping warm and away from the wind chill. So they're not moving as much. So just because you see an animal that is not moving does not mean that it might be hurt or that it might need our assistance. It might just be conserving energy. Especially like our frogs and amphibians and things like that you see under the ice, they don't move at all. They are in full-on rumination, conserve all your energy mode until spring comes. But even our furry mammals that we are used to seeing in the snow, when it gets this frigid, they're just conserving energy as best as possible, and that means moving less and less. So basically, a lot of people will get phone calls that are concerned because this animal's in their backyard, hunkered down and hasn't moved. That's more than likely a good thing for them.
When they do interact with those animals, or when they do see those animals, hopefully we just let them be. But in the case that you are concerned, what steps should they take to ensure the safety of these animals, and if there is a problem there, to take care of that in a way that's best for their animals, but also for maybe their children, for their pets at home as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We always want to look out for our wildlife friends, but often the common misconception is that things that we think we should do actually do more harm. So offering them food and water might not be the right thing to do in that point in time. Warming them up too much too fast is not a great idea either. So we really encourage the public to just make a phone call first and get an expert involved rather than trying to go out and do it yourself. There's just too many things that we can do that seemingly would be helpful and really are not. So the best thing to do is look up on the DNR website, the licensed wildlife rehabilitators in our area. They're sorted by county. So a licensed wildlife rehabilitator has gone through training and knows exactly what to look for and how to assist wildlife if it's needed. And they'll let you know if it's time to intervene or not. So just be a really good observer. That's what we ask. So before you make a phone call like that or before you step in, take some time, really assess the situation and have good observations so that when you do make a phone call for help, you can give them all the information they need and then the right action or no action, whatever it is decided is safest for the animal, can be taken.
That website, michigan.gov/DNR, you'll be able to search what you need there to get in contact with the DNR's local branches so that they can help you with this information. And of course, if you have questions during the week, the West Bloomfield Parks Naturalist staff is there as well. They can direct you to those resources. If you can't remember, michigan.gov/DNR. A lot of websites we got to remember, but these can be important for our local wildlife. Lauren Azoury is with us on the Splash Live, West Bloomfield Parks Naturalist Supervisor, as we discuss how the weather patterns that are heavily affecting our day-to-day lives lately here in this Michigan winter may also be affecting our local wildlife. Lauren, during this winter season, what are some of the more typical behaviors that we see from our local wildlife that may be beneficial to our ecosystem as we transition eventually out of winter and into the spring and summer?
Well, if you're out and observing, if you're brave, or maybe you are feeding birds from your window and you're sitting inside in the coziness, you'll notice that a lot of our bird friends that do stay around in the winter months, the ones that don't migrate, are seed eaters. They will be puffed up. So they are using science. They're using what they know, and they will take their feathers and take big breaths and trap air underneath. It's why humans actually purchase down coats. It's why down comforters are so warm for us, because along with the feathers, it traps air, which is a second layer of insulation. So if you see any of those birds out there all puffed up, that's what they're doing. So keep an eye out for that. And a lot of our mammal friends are still out roaming about. So our deer, you'll find their track. They're out looking for food. They adapt by changing what they eat this time of year. So instead of eating all the green plants and new sprouts in the spring, what they do in the winter is called browsing. So they will eat the inner bark of new twigs and branches. So they eat more brown foods in the winter than they do in the spring. So you can look out for marks on the trees and plants. And if you're walking on the trails, you can see where the bunnies and the rabbits and the deer have been browsing. So they do change what they eat. So they have some great adaptations for sure that you can notice and see and observe if you are brave enough to go out in the cold this week.
Lauren Azoury is with us on the Splash Live from West Bloomfield Parks, talking about, of course, one of the biggest topics they get to discuss with the community, the nature and the wildlife that makes West Bloomfield a destination here in the state of Michigan. Lauren, before we let you go, anything else people should keep in mind as this winter weather continues to fluctuate, and so does the impact it has on our local wildlife?
Well, I will just try to cheer everybody up and know that snow is actually very beneficial in nature. So the world needs snow, and our area does need snow. So the extreme cold can be challenging, of course, but the snow that's on the ground right now is actually really good for a lot of our animals that are hunkered down and hibernating. So snow acts as an insulator. And what the challenges that our local wildlife face is really when it all changes. So when it all melts and then all comes back, that can really mess with their systems and their internal clocks. So appreciate the snow while we have it, because it does help the wildlife survive. Snow holds air as well and captures it. So on these really, really cold days, guess where all those animals are? They're actually in the snow rather than out in that cold, frigid wind chill air. So if it helps cheer anybody up in this time of winter blues season and how cold it is, the wildlife really does need the snow.
As we're slipping and sliding around, we can all just kind of chant to ourselves, it'll be helpful eventually. The snow will be for the good later on in the season. Lauren, thank you so much for your time as always.
Thank you.
More information from West Bloomfield Parks is on their website, wbparks.org, including their nature programs with Lauren and her dedicated staff. You can also find more information about their upcoming events by following them on social media, WB_Parks on Instagram and on Facebook at WB Parks.